on time. Well, some of us are here on time. So, week off, we all know how it went. Nothing got uploaded, didn't move forward, just decided to wait. But now we'll start to move again. So, you have a project today. It's a section view. So I'm going to go over section views, show you a little bit of AutoCAD so you can remember how to get hatching in and those kind of things. I think that's due on the 31st, like a full week. So you have a lot of time to do it. But then we're going to have a quiz on Friday. So that'll be an online quiz. It'll come available in the morning at 1 a.m. If you want to do it then, go for it. And it'll go to sleep at like 11:59 p.m. So it's available all day. Do it in here if you want. Do it at home if you want, however you want. Same kind of thing. Save it as a PDF in the layout area, right? So in layout here, you'll have your title block. You'll have your done quiz, whatever I ask you to do, right? And then save this as a PDF. So let's go over that because I've been getting a few PDFs that have the title block chopped off, right? So that'll happen for a couple of reasons. If this viewport is outside the dotted line is the printable area of the paper, and the dotted line is defined by the printer. So if no printer is defined, like that's default. If I go to page setup and I modify, the page setup is here, printer's here, and none is defined. So it just puts the border like wherever default is, right? If I define a printer, see if I can do that. I don't even know if I can do that here. Oh yeah, there's a printer. And it didn't move it. So that didn't work. But normally it will move here. Let me say okay. Oh yeah, it moved it, right? So if you define the printer, like if you're at home and you have a printer, you can choose it in the page setup here for layout, and it'll move that dotted line around based on the printer. The printer cannot print all the way to the edge of the piece of paper, right? There's this buffer, but each printer is different. So if you don't do that, you just get the default dotted line, which is fine. Just know that you got to be within that dotted line to do a print or export to PDF, right? If you're outside of that dotted line, you're going to lose something. So if I go and say, okay, I'll do the export first, the PDF, you kind of get this whole thing, like where to save it. I'll save it on the desktop. But down here, it's going to export the current layout, right? And the page setup is going to be current. That's whatever is set up here. That make sense? Yeah, okay. Hopefully you've seen this before. I'll change it. Example. And I'll hit save. It does it. Sometimes it opens it, sometimes it doesn't open it. I don't see that it opened it that time. Plot complete, maybe it's here. Yeah, no, that's just details. So I think I put it on the desktop, maybe the desktop. Yeah, sample right there, right? And then you can open it and you should be able to see the border all the way around. It's not always centered up. That's okay. I don't care. But I don't want to chop it off. I want the border to come, I want all of it. So check your PDFs before you upload them. I guess is the short story instead of the long story. All right. Questions on anything so far? Yeah. I think most people have everything submitted. I think I have most things graded. In the My Grades area, I don't know if I told this class, I've been trying to tell all classes. In the My Grades area, you can see comments over here. So if you've lost points for some reason, there's a comment. Look at the comment. So whatever you lost points for, you don't lose points for it again. It also might say resubmit for points, right? So read the comments that I put on there. If you got full score, there might not be a comment. Or if you got full score and there is a comment, it probably says good job or nice job or you're a rock star or whatever I say. So, all right. So check those if you would at some point. All right, let's talk about sections. So hopefully you've seen this information before and this is review. If not really the end of the world. They're not we're not going to get super complicated with them. The part of advanced AutoCAD is doing more advanced type drawings. And sections may have got covered like in 120, but it was brief and we didn't do much. And we probably didn't do it in AutoCAD. So this could be the first time you actually do hatching and stuff in AutoCAD. So a section is a cut view. So you have an object, right? And you're going to draw the primary views typically. But if there's internal interesting geometry that are showing up as a hidden line and we cannot dimension to a hidden line, we have to have some way to show that internal geometry. Sections are how we do it. So here in this first one, they're showing a full section of the top view. So the top view is drawn, that's this top view, right? And then this is what's called the cutting plane line. And that's the slice that's going to go down through the object. It's like a knife. You're going to cut straight through it. And then instead of the front view, the section view is drawn. The arrows refer to the view position. So it's like, okay, the view is this way. The arrows are showing you which way the view is. And that's the section that's associated with this cut. Okay, and the section is drawn instead of the front view. That's pretty common. The front view is just a rectangle, right? Not that helpful with a bunch of hidden lines back behind it. So instead they cut it and draw the section. There's no hidden lines. Everything can be dimensioned. That's invisible form. The hatching goes in where the knife cuts through material. So if you think of this cutting plane as a knife, as it goes through, wherever it saw material, that's where the hatching goes. Okay? And we need the hatch to go in and we need the hatch to be visible. Not too small, or it looks like a black blob. Not too big, or it looks like 4 lines and it gets confusing, right? So a reasonable hatch scale is what you're going to want. Here's another one. This is a full section of the front view. So again, the front view is drawn and then the cutting plane is put in. So you have to have one view to put the cutting plane through. And then you create the section view. So the section just can't be on its own. It's referencing this cutting plane line. Okay? Does that make sense? Kind of see what it's doing? Here's another one. This one has 2 sections. You can have multiple sections in an object. Complicated objects have a lot of sections. So you have to find where the cut is. Here's cut B. And then you go searching for section B. So this notation here is good notation. That's what I'm looking for. This doesn't have any notation on it. They didn't label their cutting plane line. That's bad. They didn't really label the section correctly. This is labeled correctly with labels on both ends. AA is section AA, BB is section BB. We would like the section in projection, if possible. Like for example, section A is in projection to the cutting plane. But section B, you would have had to set it over here to be in projection. They put it down here. That's fine too. Sometimes you have to go searching for the cuts. Like they're not always even on the same page. So I'll show you some of that activity. The cutting plane line is a thick hidden line or a phantom line. Phantom's easiest in AutoCAD to control. So I use a phantom line. Phantom is 2 dashes and then a long dash. Okay, it's supposed to be the thickest line on the drawing. So you're going to want to give it thickness. Okay, thicker than visible lines. They're supposed to stand out. So not everybody's really good about doing it that way, but here's some more examples, right? Slice the object, draw the section. Slice the object, draw the section. The arrows refer to the view side, which side you're looking at this side. That's what that is. Same with this, looking at this side over here, that's what that is, right? They pointed them the wrong way. That's the wrong, showing you not good, not good, good. So it can get confusing as far as like, which side do I draw? So just be careful. Whichever way you put your arrows in is the view. That's the side you're looking at. There's other kinds of sections. There is revolved sections. So if a cross section changes, we can put the section right on a view, just rotate it. So this cross section is round. This cross section is kind of multi-sided, hexagonal. This cross section is square. So they're just slicing it and rotating the cross section so you get a feel for like, what is that cross section, right? So they're called revolved, and you can do it right in position. You can just revolve it right in position. So this rib is like a T shape, and this cross section is like an I shape. So that can be helpful. Revolved sections happen just right on the object. Here's another cut. So this is just a partial section, just going to show a certain part. So a full section goes fully through the object, right? And then there's all these partial cuts that we can do. This actually looks like it's going fully through the object. This is the little object right here. Some kind of rivet or something. And here's the cut, AA, right? Thickest line, kind of the thickest line on the drawing, that's good. Looks like they used maybe a phantom line. I don't know, they kind of got it mucked up. Maybe a phantom line. And then here's the section, section AA, and they blew it up 4 times size, right? I would have wrote 4:1, meaning 4 times bigger, but 4 times size, that works. I could figure it out. I can see it's much bigger, right? So it's kind of just a partial though. They put the cut all the way through, but then they didn't show this piece. So really, if you cut it all the way through, they should have shown this piece. They probably had room to show the whole thing. Why not, right? But they just were interested, obviously, in this bevel hole thing. So made it a lot easier to dimension, right? Because you couldn't dimension anything up here. Those are all hidden lines. So now they're all visible, and we can dimension it. Make sense? All right, let's keep going. Here's another example. I want to zoom this one up. Just to show you how like complicated it can get. All right, so here's our object. We have a couple true views, like right here, that's just a normal view. They didn't label the view, so it's not that helpful. I'm guessing it's looking at this object from here. This is the other side. So if they would have put the hidden lines in this, see how they omitted all the hidden lines, just left them off? It would have been an absolute mess. Like it would have been solid hidden lines. That's not helping anyone. So just leave those out. If you're going to do a section, you're pulling out all of the internal geometry in the section. You don't need all those hidden lines in here. Just get them out of it. Okay, same with this. There's a couple hidden lines back here. Most of it's visible, I think. Unless this stuff's in the way out here, right? They just left out the hidden lines in both this view and this view because they're doing multiple sections to get the inside geometry. Section A is actually in projection right here, section A. Section B, they put it at an angle, and it's also in projection right here, section B. So they get complicated, but you can pull out that internal geometry and dimension it. Cool? All right, you are doing these two. You're doing this one. It's metric. It's got a tolerance in there, but you can figure that out. You just draw it to the small size for a hole. So the 4117 is what you draw the hole. And you're gonna do, I believe you're doing a full section probably off of the front view. So you're gonna draw the front view, put the cutting plane in, and then draw the section. This one, I believe you're doing the top view, and then you're doing a full section, you're gonna cut through it, and then that'll become the front view. Right? These don't have really complicated inside geometry. That's all right, it's still good practice. It's gonna give you a lot of opportunity to dimension things that were hidden lines that will go away. All right. Let's look here and see what I said about that. Yeah, create full section views of the two objects, slice the objects through the top view of each object. Okay, I'm okay with that. Use A-size paper, right? Put both drawings in one file. So one file, you can have multiple layouts to show the two different objects, but you should be able to do it all in one file. Okay. Yeah. Not due for a week. Let's talk about AutoCAD now that we talked about sections. So you're gonna have to remember how to put hatching in. I mean, the rest is really just normal drawing, right? You got to be able to get a phantom line in. So that's a line type, right? So that's here in your line type setup. I'm going to go to other, and then you load it, right? And you go through. If you're in a metric one, use these top ones, and you'll be able to find phantom up there. If you're in US, it's alphabetical, and here's phantom. Same kind of thing. You have three versions: small drawings, normal size drawings, and big drawings. But you can use whatever. I use phantom. So that just loads it, right? It should be here now. There it is. So when I draw a line, I'll put it through the center. Because this is how I do it, right? I just make a line and then I switch it to what I want. Phantom. Looks okay here. Maybe it's a little tight, and you can change that in the properties, line type scale. So I could make it a little bigger, like 2 times, whoops. So it gets a little bigger. This is where you want to look at it here. Because if it looks bad here, it looks bad when you do the PDF, right? So tweak it here. 2 is not working. I'd go to 1. 1's starting to work. I'd probably want at least 2 of those to show up, something like that. Again, up to you, but it looks different in layout than it does in model. So do it in layout and be happy here. This should also be thick. So I'll make it thicker. Anyone know why that's not showing up? I don't see it. Line weight's turned off. Visibility of line weight is turned off. So, whoops. If I go line weight, see the display line weight is not toggled. I don't know why AutoCAD has defaulted to that, but it is. It's defaulted to not show it to you. So if you go into the line weight settings and say, hey, display that please, and say, okay, then it should show up. And I'm guessing it is showing up. Yeah, it is. It's just not very dramatic, right? So I would go back to here, and I'd go to here, and I'd get it thicker. So choose something bigger. Go to, oh, there we go. That's a little obnoxious. Anyway, you can play with it, but it should show up, right? The other thing is getting the arrows on. So there's a number of ways to do this. But I use P-line because these arrows are supposed to also be bigger than dimensioning arrows. Okay. So polyline allows you to add thickness to lines and also create arrows. so it's kind of nice. So I'll go polyline, I'll draw from, and you can see the options for polyline. This is kind of an advanced thing. We probably didn't even cover polyline in the first AutoCAD class. But you can add width to a polyline. Right? So, okay, I'm gonna add width. So I hit W for width, and it's gonna say, hey, what do you want for the starting width? And I'm gonna say, I don't know, 0.2. Because I think I'm in US, right? It's weird that the line thickness is in metric, but it is. And then the ending width, I'll say 0.2, and I can see what I get. I'm like, oh, that's not bad. You know, this is maybe a little too thick. I don't know. I'll see what it looks like in layout in a second. So that's just thick lines. So I'll place it, but then you can go back into width. And I'll leave it at 0.2 for the, actually, I'm gonna go wider. I'm gonna go like 0.5. So now it's gonna go wide, and in the ending width, I'm gonna go to 0. And it's gonna do that. So that's why I use polyline, because it's clearly a different line than a dimension line, right? It's thick. That's good. And then I would go and say, okay, I don't want to make that again. I would just copy it. And I actually have it as a block at home, so I never have to make that. I just pull in a block and place it. So we'll talk about blocks at some point. But you're gonna need thick lines. You're gonna need bigger arrows than your standard dimension. So there you go. All right. Hatching. Let's talk about hatching. See what it looks like, and yeah, it's just nasty. I'm actually gonna move this out of my way because I know it's gonna mess with my hatch. I can move it back. I use B hatch, boundary hatch. There's just regular hatch also, but B hatch is nice because it'll find, automatically it'll find boundaries when I just mouse over an area. So I'm not picking anything, I'm just mousing over an area and it's trying to figure out, hey, you want the hatch here? You want the hatch here? Where do you want the hatch? Okay, and this is all the hatch information. So if it's not working, you can always select objects. And that would be just select the lines that you want the boundary to be. But this is really nice if it's a simple hatch system. So I click here, it'll put it wherever you click, right? But you're still in boundary hatch. You're in it until you either hit enter or you do this green check mark. Like, I can mess with the angle. I think the default angle is 0, and that's 45. So hatching should be at an angle, and it should be not close to any geometry of the part. In other words, it should be like this. None of those hatch lines kind of line up with the part, right? If this part had like a 45 on this corner, then I'd want to change this angle to something different. You know, make it steeper. Just get it different than the part lines. So it's clear. Change the scale as needed. I think 1 scale is what it started. That's not good. That's way too dense. Oh, it won't let me look at it. There. It'll look about the same. So I went up to 10, I think, and I'm like, oh, that's ugly. That's too big. Somewhere in between is good, something like that. Right? And then when you're happy with it, you hit check and it closes, and then check it here. Like, what's it look like here, you know, kind of as you look at the whole piece of paper. That's the way to look at it. Everything that's been cut, the material that's been cut gets the hatch. The material that's not been cut does not get the hatch. Right? This is the material that was cut. This is the hole, does not get hatched. Questions? Know what you're doing? We're doing this. Yeah, I said top view for both, but that doesn't make sense with this. I would do the section plane in the front view. Slice through this. If you slice through it up here, you're just gonna get a big blob of rectangle. So, yeah. This one I would do top view, cut it. This one I'd do front view, cut it. All right, I'm gonna assume you got it. And we are now in lab.
So when we mark where it cuts, what do those arrows represent?
The cut, the knife that goes down and through.
Okay, so like which direction it's cutting?
Yeah,
right?
see the arrows? The arrows represent which side you're viewing.
Okay,
So for example, see, it's looking this way, that hole better show up. Because we see, if it looked the other way, we wouldn't see the hole, we'd just be looking at this side. Does that make sense? Yeah, it's your view. Those arrows, it's your view you're looking at. So this view is down. They're gonna look down. So this is what it looks like when I look down at it, right? This is that cut, this is that piece here. So the arrows represents the view.
so for that second object, we're doing it symmetrical, so it wouldn't really matter which side they're going to point it at.
I won't go there. Oh. Except for
Actually,
that,
that does
yeah, it's not symmetrical, so. Will matter. You won't see it, like if you cut right through these holes, right through this, so the holes don't line up, so be careful with your cut. Like put it wherever you want, but grab one set of holes. Either this set or this set when you cut through the top, right? But the holes don't all line up, so. There you go.
But so for example, if we're doing like the front view, we're gonna, when we make our cut, we're gonna show that like the front part of this piece. So what are we gonna do for that area? Is there maybe hidden lines still or?
In the front view,
For the second object?
the second object is the section, so no hidden lines. So the section view, we're really focused in on this inside geometry, not anything that happens back behind it. So we omit hidden lines in a section. So even if there is hidden geometry, we don't care about it. We're just gonna draw that cut. Good question. That's important. Yep, see, cut through here, look that way. So this is a full section drawing the front view. So you draw the front view, cut, and that creates the section. So on this one, you will draw the front view, put the cut on it, and then create the section for the top view. And for this one, you will draw the top view, put the cut in it, and then draw the front view in section form.
Tell us where to put the plane.
No, I'm leaving it up to you. All the way through the object is all I said. So pick a good spot. The point of doing a section is you're trying to pull out some geometry that's hidden. So that's the point. All right, we are officially in lab.